It's 2 in the morning. You're staring at your ceiling fan, going around and around and around. Your heart is racing. Your mind is playing that conversation on repeat, the one from earlier today, the one where your boss questioned your work, or your partner said that thing, or your friend made that comment. And now, at 2 a.m., you're writing entire speeches in your head. You're perfecting your comeback. You're rehearsing what you should have said. You're building scenarios that haven't happened yet and probably never will. You're not sleeping. You're not resting. You're reacting. Even though the moment is over, even though the person isn't even thinking about it anymore, you're still there, trapped, caught in a reaction loop that's eating your peace, stealing your sleep, and controlling your life. Here's the real question. What if you didn't have to live this way? What if there was a space between what happens to you and how you respond? A gap where you could breathe, where you could choose, where you could observe instead of explode. That's exactly what Don't React, Just Observe by Ladder Up is all about. This isn't another self-help book telling you to think positive or journal your feelings. This is a blueprint for breaking free from the prison of automatic reactions. This is about reclaiming the power you've been giving away every single time you let your emotions hijack your life. Today, we're breaking down this entire book, every key habit, every practical strategy, every tool you need to stop being controlled by your reactions and start living with intention. If you've ever sent a text you regret, said something you can't take back, or felt like your emotions are driving the car while you're stuck in the passenger seat, this video is for you. I'm your host at Ladder Up English, and for the next 40 minutes, we're diving deep into the book that's helping thousands of people transform their emotional lives. Let's begin. Chapter 2. The Direct Answer. What this book is really about. So what is Don't React, Just Observe really teaching us? Here's the core message in plain English. This book shows you how to create space between what happens to you and how you respond. It teaches you to observe your emotions, thoughts, and triggers without immediately acting on them. Instead of being controlled by instant reactions that you later regret, you learn to pause, notice what's happening inside you, and choose responses that align with who you actually want to be. It's not about suppressing emotions or becoming emotionless. It's about developing emotional intelligence, so you respond to life from wisdom instead of reacting from wounds. The book offers 6 transformative habits that help you break automatic reaction patterns and build a life of conscious, intentional choices. Think of it this way. Right now, you're probably living on autopilot. Someone pushes your button and boom, you react. It's automatic, like a vending machine. Press A7, get a Snickers bar. Press your anger button, get an explosion. This book teaches you to unplug the vending machine, how to stand between the button and the action, how to observe what's happening instead of being swept away by it. And here's why this matters. Every regret you have, every relationship you've damaged, every opportunity you've lost, most of them trace back to a moment when you reacted instead of responded. When you let emotion drive instead of consciousness. This book gives you the steering wheel back. Now let's break down exactly how it does that. Chapter 3. Habit 1. The sacred pause. Let's start with a story. Meet Sarah. She's a middle school teacher in Columbus, Ohio, 32 years old. She loves her job, she loves her kids, but there's this one student. Let's call him Marcus. And Marcus knows exactly how to push every single button Sarah has. One Tuesday afternoon, during a lesson on fractions, Marcus interrupts for the 15th time. He makes a joke. The class laughs. Sarah feels her face get hot. Her jaw clenches. Her hands become fists. And before she can think, she snaps. "Marcus, get out! Go to the principal's office right now!" The room goes silent. Marcus, for the first time all year, looks hurt. He grabs his backpack and leaves, and Sarah immediately feels it, that sinking feeling in her stomach, that voice in her head saying, "Why did you do that? You just embarrassed a 13-year-old in front of his peers." She didn't want to do that, but she reacted, and once the words left her mouth, she couldn't take them back. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. Sound familiar? Here's the concept, the sacred pause. The first habit in Don't React, Just Observe is learning to create a gap between trigger and action. Just 3 to 5 seconds, that's all you need. A sacred space where you breathe, notice what's happening, and give your conscious mind a chance to catch up with your emotional body. Think of your brain like a 2-part system. Part 1 is fast, emotional, automatic. It's designed for survival. It's why your ancestors didn't get eaten by tigers. But in modern life, that same system treats a critical email like a life-and-death situation. Part 2 is slow, logical, conscious. It's where your wisdom lives. But it takes a few seconds to boot up. The pause gives it time. Here's how to apply this today. Action step 1. Pick one recurring trigger in your life. Maybe it's traffic. Maybe it's your teenager's attitude. Maybe it's that coworker who talks over you in meetings. Just one. Action step 2. The next time that trigger happens, do this. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Breathe out for 4 counts. That's it. 12 seconds. Before you speak, before you act, before you text. That 12-second pause is your sacred space. It's where reaction ends and response begins. Here's what Sarah did after that day with Marcus. She started using the pause. Every time Marcus interrupted, instead of snapping, she breathed. 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out. Then she responded,
"Marcus, I hear you want to share something. Let me finish this thought. Then I'd love to hear from you." Same trigger, different response. Why? Because she created space. Your takeaways. The pause is not about suppression. It's about selection. You always have 3 to 5 seconds. Always. Use them. That tiny gap between what happens and what you do is where your power lives. Your turn. Think about the last time you reacted and immediately regretted it. What would have changed if you'd paused for just 5 seconds? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's learn from each other. Chapter 4. Habit 2. Naming your emotions. Let me introduce you to David. He's a freelance graphic designer in Austin, Texas. 38 years old, works from home, and lately he's been feeling off. His partner asks him what's wrong. "Nothing," he says. "I'm fine." But he's not fine. He's irritable. He's snapping at small things. He's procrastinating on projects he used to love. He's scrolling social media for hours, feeling worse with every scroll. When his partner pushes, David says, "I don't know, okay? I just feel bad." Bad is the word he uses. Bad. Here's the problem. Bad is not an emotion. It's a category. It's like walking into a hospital and telling the doctor, "My body feels bad." Okay, but where? Is it your head, your stomach, your chest? Is it sharp or dull, constant or intermittent? You can't treat bad. You need specifics. This is habit 2 from Don't React, Just Observe. Naming your emotions. Here's the concept. Most people have an emotional vocabulary of about 5 to 10 words. Happy, sad, angry, tired, fine, stressed, bad, good. But researchers have identified over 300 distinct emotional states. You're not just stressed. You might be overwhelmed, anxious, depleted, overstimulated, uncertain, or inadequate. Each of those has a different cause and needs a different response. When you can't name what you feel, you can't process it. You can't release it. It just sits inside you, building pressure until you explode. David's therapist taught him this tool, the emotion wheel. It's a simple diagram that breaks emotions into categories and subcategories. When David felt bad, he'd pull out the wheel and get specific. One day, he realized he wasn't just stressed, he was resentful. Resentful because he was working 60-hour weeks while watching his college friends post vacation photos. He felt behind, left out, like he'd made the wrong choices. Once he named it, everything changed. He couldn't fix bad, but he could address resentment. He could have a conversation with his partner about work-life balance. He could unfollow accounts that made him inadequate. He could make a plan. Here's how to apply this. Action step 1. Download an emotion wheel. Just Google emotion wheel PDF. Print it. Put it on your fridge. Action step 2. For the next 7 days, once a day, check in with yourself. Don't just say, "I feel fine," or "I'm stressed." Use the wheel. Get specific. Write it down. Monday, I feel dismissed. Tuesday, I feel enthusiastic. Wednesday, I feel overwhelmed. Thursday, I feel grateful. Action step 3. Once you name it, ask yourself, what does this emotion need? Overwhelmed might need rest or delegation. Dismissed might need a boundary-setting conversation. Enthusiastic might need action on a new project. Here's what happened with David. After 4 weeks of naming his emotions, he noticed patterns. He felt resentful every Sunday night. Why? Because he dreaded Monday. Why? Because he'd overcommitted to clients he didn't enjoy working with. 6 months later, David restructured his entire business. He fired 3 problem clients, raised his rates, started saying no, and that chronic bad feeling gone. Your takeaways. You cannot heal what you cannot feel. You cannot feel what you cannot name. Expanding your emotional vocabulary is like upgrading from a black and white TV to 4K color. Naming is not weakness, it's precision, it's power. Your turn. Right now, in this moment, what are you feeling? Not good or fine. Get specific. Use 3 words. Comment them below. Let's build our emotional vocabulary together. Chapter 5. Habit 3. The Observer's Distance. Here's a story from Seattle, Washington. Jennifer is 29. She works in tech, high-pressure job. She's good at it, really good. But lately, something's been happening. She's in a meeting. Her manager criticizes her project timeline, and Jennifer feels it. That tightness in her chest, that heat in her face, that voice in her head screaming, "You're not good enough. You're going to get fired. Everyone thinks you're a fraud." She's not just receiving feedback, she's drowning in it. She is the criticism. It's not, "My manager doesn't like this timeline," it's, "I'm a failure." This is what psychologists call fusion. When you fuse with your thoughts and emotions, when you can't separate yourself from the experience.
Think about it. Right now, you can notice that you're reading these words. Who's noticing? There's the thoughts happening, and there's the you that's aware of the thoughts happening. That awareness, that observer, that's the real you. When you create distance, you stop drowning in the emotion. You start watching it, like clouds passing across the sky. You're the sky. The clouds are temporary. Jennifer learned this technique from Don't React, Just Observe. She started narrating her experience in the third person. Instead of, "I am so anxious, I can't handle this," she'd think, "Jennifer is noticing anxiety. Jennifer's chest is tight. Jennifer is having the thought that she can't handle this." That tiny shift from "I am" to "I'm noticing" created space. Suddenly, she wasn't the anxiety. She was the person observing anxiety. Here's why this matters. When you are the emotion, you're trapped. You have no options. You're just surviving. But when you're the observer of the emotion, you have choices. You can respond differently. Action step 1. Practice the observer's narration. Next time you feel a strong emotion, describe it to yourself in the third person using your own name. Alex is feeling angry right now. Taylor is noticing fear. Jordan is experiencing disappointment. Action step 2. Add physical observations. Get even more distance. Alex's shoulders are tense. Alex's jaw is clenched. Alex's heart rate is elevated. Alex is having the thought that this is unfair. Action step 3. Remember this phrase. I am not the storm. I am the sky watching the storm. Say it out loud when emotions hit hard. It's a reminder, a reset, a return to your observer self. Jennifer used this for 6 months. Here's what changed. When her manager gave feedback, she still felt the initial reaction, but within 10 seconds, she'd create distance. Jennifer is receiving feedback. Jennifer is noticing defensiveness. Jennifer's chest is tight. From that observer position, she could choose her response. Sometimes she'd ask clarifying questions. Sometimes she'd say, "I need a moment to process this. Can we revisit it tomorrow?" Sometimes she'd realize the feedback was actually valuable and thank her manager. Same trigger, completely different outcomes, because she wasn't fused with the reaction anymore. Your takeaways. You are the observer, not the observed. The sky, not the storm. Third-person narration creates psychological distance in seconds. Distance doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop drowning. Your turn. Try it right now. Think of something that's bothering you today. Describe it in third person using your name. How does it feel different? Share your experience in the comments. Chapter 6, Habit 4, Breaking Reaction Loops. Let's talk about Michael. He lives in Phoenix, Arizona, 41 years old, married, 2 kids, and every single evening the same thing happens. Michael comes home from work, tired. His wife, Lisa, has been home with the kids all day, also tired. Michael walks in. The house is a mess. Toys everywhere. Dishes in the sink. Michael sighs. That disappointed sigh. Lisa hears it. She tenses up. "Long day?" she asks, with an edge. "Yeah," Michael says, looking around. "Looks like yours was too." "That's the spark." "What's that supposed to mean?" Lisa snaps. "Nothing. I didn't mean anything." "Yes, you did. You think I've been sitting around all day?" "I didn't say that." And they're off. The same fight they've had 200 times. They both know the script. They both hate it. But they can't stop. It's a reaction loop. Here's what don't react, just observe teaches. Reaction loops are patterns. They have triggers, predictable sequences, and always end the same way. Breaking them requires interrupting the pattern at any point in the sequence. Think of it like a domino chain. Once the first domino tips, the rest fall automatically. But if you remove just one domino from the middle, the chain breaks. Michael and Lisa worked with a counselor. They identified their loop. Step 1, Michael comes home tired. Step 2, Michael notices mess and feels overwhelmed. Step 3, Michael sighs or makes a comment. Step 4, Lisa interprets it as criticism. Step 5, Lisa gets defensive. Step 6, Michael gets defensive about being defensive. Step 7, they fight for 30 minutes. Step 8, they don't talk for 2 hours. Step 9, they apologize, but nothing changes. Once they mapped it out, they realized they could break this loop at any step. Here's what they did. Michael's intervention at step 3, instead of sighing, he'd say out loud, "I'm noticing I feel overwhelmed by the mess. That's about me and my day, not about you or yours." Lisa's intervention at step 4, instead of assuming criticism, she'd ask, "Are you making an observation about the house or about me?" Mutual intervention at step 5, they agreed on a code word, domino. Either one could say it. It meant, "We're in the loop. Let's pause." It didn't work perfectly the first week, or the second. But by week 4, something shifted. One evening, Michael came home, saw the mess, opened his mouth, stopped, and said, I'm noticing I feel overwhelmed by the mess. That's about me and my day. Lisa smiled. Thank you for saying that. No fight, no loop. Just two people choosing a different response. Action step 1. Identify your most common reaction loop. Maybe it's with your partner, your boss, your parent, or even yourself. Map out the steps like Michael and Lisa did. Action step 2. Choose one intervention point, the earliest one you can realistically catch. Plan what you'll do or say differently. Action step 3. Give yourself a code word, something that signals, I'm about to fall into the loop. Use it as an emergency brake.
Here's the thing about loops. They feel automatic because they've been reinforced hundreds of times. Your brain is literally wired for this pattern. Breaking it requires conscious, repeated interruption. But every time you break it, you weaken it. Every time you respond differently, you create a new pathway. After 6 months, Michael and Lisa's evening fights dropped from 5 times a week to maybe once a month. And when they did happen, they recovered faster. Because they knew they were in a loop. They knew they could choose to step out. Your takeaways? Reaction loops are habits. Habits can be broken. You don't need to stop the whole loop. Just interrupt it anywhere. Awareness of the pattern is 50% of the solution. Your turn. What's one reaction loop you're stuck in? Who's it with? What's the trigger? Comment below. Sometimes just naming it is the first step to breaking it. Chapter 7. Habit 5. Conscious Response Creation. Meet Rachel. She's a nurse in Denver, Colorado. 35 years old. She works 12-hour shifts in an emergency room. Here's what her life looks like. Chaos. Constant. Unpredictable. High stakes. She's making life and death decisions while running on 4 hours of sleep, reheated coffee, and pure adrenaline. And she's good at it. Really good. But there's a cost. When she gets home, her 8-year-old daughter wants to tell her about her day at school. Rachel tries to listen. She really does. But her mind is still at the hospital, still processing, still in an emergency mode. Her daughter says, "Mom, you're not listening." Rachel snaps, "I am listening. I've been saving lives all day, and you're mad that I'm not excited about your spelling test?" Her daughter's face falls. She goes to her room. Rachel stands there, hating herself, thinking, why did I say that? That's not who I want to be. This is the gap between who we are in crisis and who we want to be in everyday life. Habit 5 is about conscious response creation. It's the practice of deciding in advance how you want to show up in specific situations. Here's the concept. Right now, you're operating from default settings. Your reactions are based on programming from your childhood, your culture, your trauma, your stress level, your biochemistry. You're not choosing your responses. They're choosing you. Conscious response creation means becoming the architect of your own reactions. It means designing your responses intentionally when you're calm, so they're available when you're triggered. Rachel started doing this with her therapist. They identified her key triggers. Coming home after a hard shift, her daughter's needs competing with her exhaustion, feeling guilty about not being present. Then they designed conscious responses for each. Trigger. Daughter wants attention right when Rachel walks in. Old reaction. Irritation. Short answers. Snapping. Conscious response. Honey, I just got home and my brain is still at work. Give me 10 minutes to change and breathe, then I want to hear everything. Can you draw me a picture of your day while you wait? Trigger. Daughter says, "You're not listening." Old reaction. Defensive anger. Guilt. Justification. Conscious response. You're right.
I'm not fully here yet. I'm sorry. Let me put my stuff down, look at you, and listen for real. Can we start over? Here's what changed. Rachel stopped reacting from exhaustion and started responding from values. She identified her core value. I want my daughter to feel seen and loved, even on my hardest days. Then she built responses that honored that value. Action step 1. Identify 3 situations where you consistently react in ways you later regret. Be specific. Action step 2. For each situation, complete this sentence. The person I want to be in this situation is someone who blank. Example. The person I want to be when my teenager breaks curfew is someone who stays calm, asks questions, and sets consequences from love, not anger. Action step 3. Script your conscious response. Write it out, word for word. Practice it out loud. Make it automatic. Here's Rachel's practice. Every day during her drive home, she'd repeat her conscious responses, out loud, in the car, like an actor rehearsing lines. Honey, I just got home and my brain is still at work. You're right. I'm not fully here yet. I'm sorry. Let me put my stuff down, look at you, and listen for real. She rehearsed when she was calm, so the words would be there when she was triggered. 3 months later, Rachel came home after losing a patient, worst shift of her career. Her daughter ran up excited about making the soccer team. Rachel felt the irritation rising. The thought, I can't do this right now. But then the conscious response activated. Honey, I just got home and I've had a really hard day. Give me 10 minutes to process, then I want to celebrate with you. Can you get your soccer stuff ready to show me? Her daughter hugged her. Okay, Mom, I love you. 10 minutes later, Rachel was present, really present, celebrating, hugging, being the mom she wanted to be. Same trigger, different day, different response, because she'd done the work. Your takeaways? You can't control your first thought, but you can design your first response. Conscious responses must be practiced in calm to be available in crisis. You become who you practice being. Your turn. Pick one situation where you want to respond differently. Complete the sentence. The person I want to be in this situation is someone who blank. Share it below. Speak it into existence. Chapter 8. Habit 6. Living in the present gap. Final habit, final story.
This is about James. He's 52, lives in Portland, Oregon. He's a project manager for a construction company. James has spent the last 30 years living in 2 places, the past and the future, never the present. At work, he's worrying about deadlines 3 months out. At home, he's replaying conversations from last week. At dinner with his wife, he's mentally writing tomorrow's emails. During his son's basketball game, he's thinking about the fight they had that morning. He's physically present, but mentally, he's everywhere except here. His wife tells him, "You're here, but you're not here." She's right. This is the final habit from don't react, just observe, living in the present gap. Here's the concept. Most of your suffering doesn't exist in the present moment. It exists in your replaying of the past or your rehearsing of the future. Right now, in this exact second, you are okay. You are breathing. You are alive. The present moment is almost always manageable. The book teaches this powerful truth. Between the last moment and the next moment, there is a gap. That gap is the present, and the present is the only place where life actually happens. It's also the only place where you have power. You can't change the past. You can't control the future, but you can choose how you show up right now. James started practicing present moment awareness using a technique called the 5 senses reset. Whenever he noticed his mind spiraling into past or future, he'd stop and engage all 5 senses. 5 things he could see: the coffee mug, the window, the tree outside, his wife's face, the clock. 4 things he could touch: the table, his shirt, his wedding ring, the chair. 3 things he could hear: the refrigerator humming, cars outside, his own breathing. 2 things he could smell: coffee, his soap. 1 thing he could taste: the mint from his toothpaste. This simple exercise brought him back every single time from future anxiety or past regret straight into the present. Here's what happened. James and his son had been distant for months. Every conversation turned into a lecture. Every dinner was tense. One Saturday, James was driving his son to practice. His mind was racing, thinking about work, about bills, about the argument from breakfast. Then he remembered the present gap. He did the 5 senses reset. Steering wheel, check. Son sitting next to him, check. Engine sound, check. Pine air freshener, check. And then he said, "Hey Marcus, what's one good thing that happened this week?" His son looked surprised. "You really want to know?" "Yeah, I really do." For the next 15 minutes, Marcus talked, really talked, about school, about his friends, about a girl he liked. And James listened, really listened. No advice, no lectures, just presence. When they arrived, Marcus said, "Thanks, Dad. That was nice." James realized he'd been trying to connect with his son for months, but he'd been trying from the past or the future, never from the present. And the present was the only place where connection was possible. Action step 1. Set 3 alarms on your phone throughout the day, random times. Label them present gap. When they go off, stop whatever you're doing. Do the 5 senses reset. Take 60 seconds. Come back to now. Action step 2. Practice single tasking. Pick one activity today, just one, and do only that thing. Not eating while scrolling, not showering while planning, not talking while texting. Just the one thing, fully present. Action step 3. When you notice your mind in the past or future, ask yourself, am I okay right now, in this exact moment? Usually the answer is yes. That's your anchor. James practiced this for a year. Here's what changed. His blood pressure dropped. His sleep improved. His relationship with his son transformed. His wife said, "I got my husband back." Not because his circumstances changed, because his presence changed. So your takeaways: the present moment is the only moment you actually have. Everything else is memory or imagination. Your power lives here, now, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Presence is the greatest gift you can give yourself and everyone around you. Your turn. Right now, do the 5 senses reset. Notice 5 things you can see. Do it. Then comment, what did you notice that you had been missing? Let's practice presence together. Chapter 9. Frequently asked questions. Let's answer the questions you're probably thinking right now. Question 1. Isn't observing instead of reacting just suppressing my emotions? Won't that make things worse? Great question, and no. There's a huge difference between suppression and observation. Suppression is pushing the emotion down, pretending it doesn't exist, avoiding it. That's toxic. That does make things worse. Observation is the opposite. It's fully acknowledging the emotion, feeling it, naming it, but not letting it control your actions. Think of it like this. Suppression is locking a wild animal in a cage and pretending it's not there. Observation is sitting with the wild animal, studying it, understanding it, respecting it, but not letting it run your life. When you observe, you're actually processing the emotion more effectively than when you either suppress it or react from it. You're creating space for it to move through you naturally. The emotions don't go away, they get integrated, they get resolved. And here's the beautiful part. The more you observe, the less intense and overwhelming your emotions become over time. You're not building up pressure, you're releasing it consciously. Question 2. How do I stay consistent with these habits when life gets overwhelming? This is the biggest challenge, right? When things are calm, we can pause and observe and respond consciously. But when life hits hard, we go right back to old patterns. Here's what the book teaches, and what actually works. Start small and build gradually. Don't try to implement all 6 habits at once during your most stressful situations. Pick one habit. Pick one low-stakes situation. Master it there first. Maybe you start with the sacred pause when someone cuts you off in traffic, not when your boss criticizes you. Traffic first. Once that becomes automatic, add another situation. Slowly, you build the muscle. Also, create environmental cues. Put sticky notes on your mirror that say, pause. Set phone alarms labeled, observe. Build reminders into your physical space. And most importantly, have self-compassion when you slip up. You will react sometimes. You will snap. You will regret things. That's part of being human. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Each time you catch yourself after a reaction and think, I could have handled that differently, that's awareness is growth. Eventually, you'll catch yourself during the reaction, then before it. That's how the pattern changes.
They think I'm being cold or distant? This comes up a lot, especially in relationships. You start pausing before responding, and your partner thinks you're shutting down. You start observing your emotions, and your family thinks you've become unemotional or detached. Here's the solution. Communicate your intention. Tell the people close to you what you're working on. Say something like, hey, I'm learning to respond more thoughtfully instead of reacting quickly. So if I take a moment before answering, I'm not ignoring you. I'm actually respecting you and this conversation enough to give you my best response, not my first impulse. Most people will appreciate that. Also, model it consistently. When they see that your pauses lead to better conversations, less conflict, and more genuine connection, they'll understand. They might even start doing it themselves. And remember, some people might resist because your growth challenges their comfort with the old dynamic. That's not your responsibility to manage. You're not being cold, you're being conscious. There's a massive difference. Keep explaining it when needed, but don't abandon your growth because others are uncomfortable with your evolution. Question 4. Can these habits really help with anxiety and overthinking, or are they just for dealing with other people? These habits are incredibly powerful for anxiety and overthinking, maybe even more so than for external conflicts. Here's why. Anxiety and overthinking are reaction patterns happening inside your own mind. You're reacting to your own thoughts as if they're emergencies. Your brain says, what if something bad happens? And you immediately spiral into catastrophic thinking. That's a reaction. When you apply observation to internal experiences, everything shifts. You start noticing, I'm having an anxious thought. My body is responding with tension. My mind is creating worst-case scenarios. From that observer position, you can ask,
Is this thought true? Is this thought helpful? What does this anxiety actually need right now? Usually, anxiety needs grounding, not more thinking. It needs presence, not future projection. The present gap habit is especially powerful here, because most anxiety lives in the future. When you come back to the present moment and ask, "Am I okay right now?" the answer is almost always yes. The threat your brain is reacting to doesn't exist in the present. It exists in imagination. These habits help you separate real danger from perceived danger, which is the core of anxiety management. Chapter 10. Conclusion. Your life from here. So here we are. We've covered 6 life-changing habits from Don't React, Just Observe by Ladder Up. Let's bring it all together. You learned about the sacred pause, that 3 to 5 second gap between what happens and what you do, the space where your power lives. You learned about naming your emotions, moving from "I feel bad" to "I feel resentful" or "I feel overwhelmed." Precision instead of confusion. You learned about observer's distance, that you are not the storm. You're the sky watching the storm. You're not your thoughts, you're the awareness behind them. You learned about breaking reaction loops, identifying the patterns that keep you stuck and interrupting them at any point in the sequence. You learned about conscious response creation, designing who you want to be in advance so that person shows up when it matters. And you learned about living in the present gap, coming back to now, because now is the only place where life happens and where your power exists. But here's what I need you to understand. Knowledge without application is just entertainment. You can watch this video, feel inspired for 20 minutes, and then go right back to reacting the same way you always have. That's what most people do. Or you can choose differently. You can pick one habit, just one, and commit to practicing it for the next 30 days. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, just consistently. Maybe it's the pause. Every time you feel triggered, you count to 5 before responding. Maybe it's naming emotions. Every evening, you write down 3 emotions you felt that day using specific words. Maybe it's the 5 senses reset. 3 times a day, you come back to the present moment. Just pick one. Start there. Build the foundation. Because here's the truth about transformation. It doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in 1,000 small choices. Every time you pause instead of explode. Every time you name instead of numb. Every time you observe instead of react. Those moments add up. They compound. They reshape your brain, your relationships, your entire life. Think about where you'll be 6 months from now if you actually apply this. 6 months of pausing, 6 months of conscious responses, 6 months of presence. Your relationships will be deeper. Your stress will be lower. Your regrets will be fewer. Your peace will be greater. Not because your circumstances changed, because you changed. Because you stopped being controlled by automatic reactions and started living from conscious choice. I want you to imagine something with me right now. Imagine the next time someone pushes your biggest button. Your boss criticizes you. Your partner says that thing. Your parent makes that comment. The trigger hits. But this time, you pause. You breathe. You feel the emotion without becoming it. You observe the reaction rising, and you let it pass. Then you respond from wisdom, from values, from the person you actually want to be. Imagine how that feels. Imagine the power in that moment. Imagine the respect you'll have for yourself. That's available to you right now, today, with the very next trigger you face. You don't need to wait until you've mastered all 6 habits. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. One pause, one observation, one conscious response. That's how you change your life. Not someday, today. So here's my challenge to you. Before you go to bed tonight, write down one situation that consistently triggers you. Just one. Write down your typical reaction, then write down the response you wish you'd have given, the one that aligns with who you want to be. Tomorrow, when that trigger happens again, and it will, you'll be ready. You'll have a plan. You'll have a conscious response prepared. And when you execute it, when you respond instead of react for the first time, come back to this video, leave a comment, tell us what happened, because your story will inspire someone else to try. That's how we grow together.
Remember, you are not your past reactions. You are not your conditioning. You are not your worst moments. You are the observer. You are the conscious being who can choose differently. You always have been. You just forgot for a while. This book, these habits, this video, they're just reminders. Reminders of the power you already have. The power to pause, to observe, to choose, to respond, to live intentionally. Don't react, just observe. Then respond from the highest version of yourself. That's the message, that's the path, that's your invitation. Before you go, do me 3 favors. First, hit that like button if this video gave you even one tool you can use today. It helps more people find this message. Second, subscribe to Ladder Up English and turn on notifications. We break down life-changing books like this every single week. Books that actually help you grow, not just fill time. Third, and most importantly, share this video with one person who needs to hear it. That friend who's always stressed, that family member who keeps exploding, that colleague who's struggling. Send them this link. Tell them, this helped me. I think it might help you too. Because the world needs more people who pause, more people who observe, more people who respond consciously instead of reacting automatically. Be one of those people, starting today, starting now, starting with the very next moment. I'm your host at Ladder Up English. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for investing in your growth. Thank you for being here. Now, go apply what you learned. Go practice. Go transform. Your life is waiting for you on the other side of your reactions. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, remember, don't react, just observe, then choose.